It's good to see you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Emily Armstrong.
Band members come and go. Creative differences, financial disputes, maybe one member's extracurricular interests don't align with the rest of the band. In those cases, it makes sense that a replacement is found. But what about when a member passes away? What about when your singer passes away? The literal voice of your band. The question a lot of times isn't, can you go on, but should you go on? At least under the same moniker. Should you continue under the banner that you helped build for years, even for decades? Is it possible for a band member to be irreplaceable?
Chester was a one-of-a-kind person and a one-of-a-kind voice.
The biggest music industry news since the Oasis reunion was the announcement of Linkin Park's new vocalist, Emily Armstrong. 7 years ago, Linkin Park vocalist Chester Bennington fell victim to his battle with mental health, leaving his band heartbroken and without their singer. Linkin Park was formed in 1996 by high school friends Mike Shinoda, Rob Borden, and Brad Delson under the name Zero. In 1999, Chester Bennington joined, revitalizing the band and ultimately rebranding to Linkin Park. They have sold over 100 million albums, with their debut, Hybrid Theory, being one of the best-selling US albums of all time, selling over 11 million copies as of 2017. Whether you are a fan of Linkin Park or not, Chester's vocals are undeniable. This live video of his 17-second scream is jaw-dropping. Chester was very open about his mental health struggles, and as fans of his music will tell you, that is what they loved about him and his lyrics. You can feel the raw emotion in his performances, and he helped so many through their own struggles. Although Chester was not a founding member of the band, he was a large part of what separated Linkin Park in an ever-bloated music industry. Would it even make sense to continue as Linkin Park after his passing? I don't believe that anybody would dispute that continuing to make music as an artist is the correct thing to do. Sometimes it hurts just to look at your guitar, and sometimes the only thing that quells the pain is picking it up. This Dave Grohl video is making its rounds the past few months. He recounts running off to this very remote part of Ireland to get away from everything after the passing of his singer, Nirvana frontman, Kurt Cobain.
After Kurt died and the band was over, I did a bunch of soul searching, and I decided, okay, I'm going to disappear. I'm going to go to the most remote place on earth. I'm just going to get away from everything and figure it out. So I went to the Ring of Kerry in Ireland, where I'd been before. It's so beautiful there. And you really feel like you're just at the end of the earth, and there's nothing. It's so fucking serene, and it's so beautiful. And I was driving around in my rental car and on a country road, and I saw this hitchhiker kid. And I thought, well, maybe I'll pick him up. And as I got closer to him, I saw that he had a Kurt Cobain t-shirt on. And it was Kurt's face looking back at me. Jesus. In the middle of nowhere. And I realized, like, oh, I can't outrun this. So I need to go home and fucking get back to work. And so I did.
He would never escape this. He had to keep making music. He had to, quote, get back to work. And fast forward 30 years, and now Dave was the singer who lost his drummer. Taylor Hawkins' passing shook the music community, and it was one of the first celebrity deaths that really affected me on a personal level. Those parasocial relationships will really get you. Foo Fighters is Dave Grohl's outlet, but Taylor was his best friend, his brother. Taylor, though not an original member of the band, very quickly became the number 2 of Foo Fighters. I, along with many, thought this might very well be the end for the Foo Fighters. Not because it wouldn't make sense for them to move forward with a new drummer, but maybe because, at least in terms of legacy, they didn't need to. In hindsight, though, I see that was a stupid thought because the music is part of the healing process. I obviously didn't know Taylor Hawkins, but I don't think that it's too off base to say that he would want his band to continue. He would want the music to go on. Some other successful examples of member replacement include Alice in Chains, bringing in William Duvall. Lane Staley succumbed to his drug addiction in 2002. He was an incredible and unique vocalist, but Williams brings a similar energy, and the signature harmonies of Alice in Chains still hit hard. Though they haven't found the same success they had in the 90s, the albums released in this century are still really great rock records. And part of that is because Jerry Cantrell was always the driving force behind the band. AC/DC's first release after Bon Scott passed away was Back in Black, their most successful release ever. And Brian Johnson proved to be a suitable replacement as he stayed in the band, and they toured and released records to varied success over the next 40 years. And there are also plenty of examples where replacing members, specifically singers, didn't work. Not all of these are because singers passed away, but Black Sabbath originally had success replacing Ozzy Osbourne with Ronnie James Dio, but then struggled with Dio's replacement, Ian Gillan. Motley Crue couldn't make it work with Vince Neil's replacement, John Corabi. And the Doors even tried to continue without Jim Morrison. Though they didn't directly replace him, they did release 3 albums after Morrison's death that were critical flops. As with any announcement such as this, and with a fan base as large and as dedicated as Linkin Park's is, the reaction to a Chester replacement was always going to be mixed. There will always be people that would reject anybody who stepped up to the mic, and there would always be people that were just happy their favorite band was making music again. But should Linkin Park have rebranded? It was something that came up.
At that point, too, we were like considering, should we call this a different band name? Do we need like one singer? Maybe we got like multiple people like playing different roles and stuff.
But Linkin Park was at least partly Mike Shinoda's creation. It was also his band. It was something he had a large part in molding and building. Does Chester's not being here all of a sudden make it not Linkin Park? There could definitely be an argument for that. But Mike Shinoda didn't think so.
One difficult thing that people are experiencing is just that they've heard Linkin Park for so long with Chester's voice, and the idea of somebody else being in that role feels really different, you know? She's not trying to be him, she's trying to be her. And it so happens that I think she singing on these songs sounds like Linkin Park.
I think there are bands you could use as an example of members being irreplaceable. Nirvana couldn't continue without Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was Nirvana. And in a similar vein, Foo Fighters couldn't continue without Dave Grohl. But they can continue without Taylor Hawkins. And alternatively, a Canadian reference for you, 3 Days Grace continued to have success after replacing their singer, though their reasons were not due to their singer passing away, but those extracurriculars I spoke about at the beginning of the video. I also said it earlier, but Black Sabbath found success with Ronnie James Dio, and Ozzy is a large figure and personality, not only in music history, but in pop culture history.
Hi, darling.
Someone has been in my room and taken my beers away from my room.
I don't think so, darling. Who would do that? Who could possibly do that? Who's the beer thief? You. You're the beer thief.
It did prove possible to move on without him. I think the truth is that there is no right answer. If Mike Shinoda and company did rebrand, even if they did start a new band, it would still suffer from comparison. And something I went back and forth with in writing this video was admitting whether or not I was a Linkin Park fan. And I would say that I was indifferent. I don't dislike them, but it was never something that was in a regular rotation for me. The announcement of Emily Armstrong didn't do much for me initially. I thought on first listen she very clearly had a strong voice, and I was interested in hearing her band Dead Sarah. I am also always curious how the core fan bases feel about decisions like this. Obviously, controversy quickly found its way to the top of the headlines, but that's not why we're here. It is a conversation that is being had and I think should be had. It's just not the one that we're having right now. The one thing that I do know is that if you aren't at the meetings, all you can do is speculate. And it certainly isn't up to outsiders to claim what is or isn't disrespectful to the dead. Time heals all wounds, and time will tell if continuing Linkin Park with Emily Armstrong was the right move or not. Grief is tricky. There's no right way to grieve, but you do need to move forward. And as an artist, you need to make art in whatever way and at whatever time feels right to you. Thank you for checking out this video. Do you like Emily Armstrong as the new vocalist for Linkin Park? Let me know in the comments. Also, what do you think are some good or bad band member replacements, passed away or otherwise? Thank you to everybody that checked out that Oasis video. That is my most successful commentary video that I've ever put out. So thank you to anybody that checked that out. I guess leave me a like. I guess subscribe. Hit me up in the comments. Thanks for checking out the video. I'll catch you next time. Shiny side up.